Okay, I'm in the middle of doing the Russian combats. Well, just actually the beginning. I've only done one Russian combat so far for September turn 3, or September 3, or whatever the hell they call it. Yeah, it's still turn 3 within September. Anyways, this one's kind of like I'm just astounded about how I'm already, like as the Russians, I was already counting my chickens way before they hatched. So I hadn't even mounted the attack yet, and I was already like figuring out, okay, which troops are going to advance after the Germans retreat, and I was starting to worry about, okay, no, I'm not going to go for Königsberg right away because it's, really difficult to go. Instead, it would be much better to go for these troops here south of the Pregel River, and that way I can start killing off the river bonus here and whatnot. So anyways, that's where my mind was. Now remember, I haven't even done the attack yet. And I'm like, already like worried about like things about, just ridiculous. I wonder how many times other people do that as well. So anyways, then I go into the attack. And it wasn't too bad for the Russians, except the big thing was, and boy, the Germans were smart in the long run, is this unit here, the 52nd Infantry Division, was up here with the 27th, but I had to move them all the way over here. They were actually over here, and the cavalry were the German cavalry here, but they opted to retreat, and so the Russians advanced with them. So they had only actually moved over to here. But so good on the Germans, because they did exactly what they needed to do. They distracted me enough, and I got worried about my line of supply and also about some Germans getting too close to my HQ and, affecting for the fact like I wouldn't be able to supply attacks if I'm in an enemy zone of control. Not an enemy zone of control, sorry. In a enemy hex of influence or something, but anyways, in other words, it's because if I had a friendly unit there, it would be all right. You see what I mean? You get the idea. What was I going to say? So in I go. I think I had 25 strength points. Yeah, I had 25 strength points. Yeah, going into it. And of course, I would have had 29. Rolled only a 2 there in broken terrain. I ended up, a 4. I only ended up getting a 2. 2 hits, I think. I have to check. But anyways, I'm not going to, the specifics doesn't really matter. So when these guys with their new core HQ, they got 10 supply points last turn, because these guys didn't, they got them 2 turns ago. Last turn they had moved to get here. That's why they couldn't move 2 turns ago, because they had just been created and received supply points. So they supplied these guys almost, fully, and ended up, I think, about 37 or 38 strength. Yeah, 38 strength points, and they rolled pretty darn good and inflicted 6 hits. So I just find it ironic that I was like way off in space thinking, after this, attack and the Germans retreat, and I got to start worrying about getting over the river, and everything's been great. And that's the reality, is the Russians have been having their way since the beginning of the game, basically, because there was a pitiful amount of Germans here. And now with the new reinforcements that got railed in from where the heck over here, and with the core HQ now being able to actually supply freaking counterattacks, not before, which was like unsupplied, or I always had to make sure my 8th Army HQ here was but I wasn't able to do anything up here. Like, it was like, sorry, I can't, you're too far away, and with the river. So anyways, things have changed, and now the Russians are in for it. If they think they were going to get Königsberg, or it was going to be like, we'll get set up for a little bit of a long siege. Now it's going to be, well, I don't even know if you're going to make it to get there right away. And remember, they've been thinning out this area here to reinforce this bit here, and the Germans, ironically, have been putting some in here because they want to squeeze through. I think it was here, this little bridge over here, and then get around here. And of course with the cavalry. Anyways, I'm just saying the German cavalry are doing exactly what they wanted to do, and oh my God, this game is just beyond belief. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Anyways, like I said, I'm in September mid-ish almost, and then I think it goes to the end of November. And I really would like to do the grand campaign at some point, but I still got a lot of learning to do. So what I'm going to do once this gets done, I think I'm going to do a somewhat different. Well, it certainly will be different, and also temporally. I think I'm going to do one of these scenarios in the Italian campaign, the Capanetta or something like that. Caparanetta or something. Anyways, it's the one the designer recommends as, he says it's not in chronological order, but this is the one I recommend, and it's got supposedly the German assault troops and all that crazy nonsense. So I think it would be good for me to learn, a different, oh my gosh, it's going to be so weird too. I saw the map, I pulled it out, and it's so tiny. Well, compared to, this is 2 maps, but yeah, I know I'm rambling a bit. And I'll talk about later on about all these combats and whatnot. But it's weird if somebody said, I don't have a lot of experience with the system yet. But if somebody said, okay, what would you recommend? Would you recommend doing the Tannenberg one or just the Galicia one if you had to pick? Personally, they're different in the sense, I think, my take on it is the Tannenberg one is a bit more condensed, or has the chance of being more condensed, if that makes sense. Whereas this one, holy moly, the Galicia one is just insane. It's just so crazy open. And personally, there's not as much, doesn't seem to be as much material on the Galicia stuff, so I would personally go with the Galicia one myself. If you've got a lot of different armies on both sides, and I think it's pretty funky, and you get to figure out how to try to pronounce Shemish, which I can't really, if you can see it there, but as far as I know, it's something like Shemish. I know, that's crazyville, man. Oh my gosh. But I just picked up a book called Fortress, The Siege of Shemish or something like that. And I'm really looking forward to reading that. And, getting a lot of insights, because I don't I have no conception of what these forts were like. I hear about these ring forts and so on and so forth. And my mind still isn't there. I think my mind is still in medieval Fortland and War of 1812 and, War of Independence and all that stuff. So, anyways, boy oh boy, Russians, wait until your chickens are hatched. Holy smokes, because, the Germans must be just like, ho, this is going well. Yep, talk about a roadblock all of a sudden. Well, we'll see what happens. Okay, and now we're off to the second army, and they're just, I'm like, I don't know what in the world to do with these guys. Oh my gosh. So, I basically, for the second army, I've decided, you know what, you can kiss Allenstein goodbye. I'm not even thinking about that anymore. Jeepers jumping, what in the world are you supposed to do with this? So, I think I'm just now going to try to create some kind of defensive area between those rivers towards Warsaw. Even though what I've been reading in one book somewhere, or no, actually I think it was the game designer, he mentioned something about that the Russians never intended to fight it out in the streets of Warsaw. They were always like, well, we're getting the hell out of here. But yet again, when I'm reading his game design stuff, especially with the Grand Campaign, he's always got this weird dichotomy, because I find in the sense that he's he's often brings up things about restrictions. You must do this at this date with this army, or you have to expend so many supply points, and so on and so forth. And then on the flip side, he also mentions often, you're the master, the destiny of everything. He even has like a thing where the two major powers, the two major combatants start off, it's just Germany and France. It's almost like pickup hockey or something. And after that, the nations square off against each other. So you could get some really bizarre things, such as, I think you could get something like Germany and Russia versus France and Austria-Hungary. I mean, sorry, France and Austria-Hungary, oh my God, you'd be toast in I think about 2 seconds. But what the heck, that would be so weird. But you know what I mean? Anyways, what I'm saying is, if he mentions these things, I'm kind of like, well, I'm not going to abandon Warsaw. That's insane. I mean, he does mention it's after one of these forts goes. So maybe I shouldn't say he's insane. Actually, yeah, what am I saying? He's way beyond me insanity. So I'll just leave it at that. But what I'm going to do, I mean, it's as if the Germans are going to be able to take all those forts by December. Give me a break. It's not going to happen. This is just a massive narrative. All these things, it's just a huge, huge narrative. Also, I know I've been rambling, but I haven't actually done a video in quite some time, or just little bits. But one thing I've been doing is I've been keeping 2 journals as well. So one journal is more or less like the in-game play. It's a bit dry, so it's like, available attacking SPs 18, modified with, the train, and blah, 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 blah. The other one is kind of like thoughts about the grand campaign upcoming, about like how I want to go about it, especially like which restrictions I want to use, and also which rules and all that stuff, as well as just a lot of thoughts about what's going on that I see, and so on and so forth. Another fun little tidbit that I did with the Austrians in the last turn, just for fun, is I decided to restrict, or pretend to restrict, the messages of all the armies between Conrad von Holzendorf and themselves with 140 characters or less. I just pretended they were like little radio bursts that they could only like send a signal so long before they were worried about the Germans catching their uncoded messages every once in a while. Although the Germans did it as well. I mean, that's just the way it went. So that's been fun, and trying to restrict messages to 140 characters or less, and trying to stress what you want. Oh my gosh, can it ever make it sound like everything is so dire? I mean, some things are dire. I mean, obviously, if you look at the Austrians over here with the Second Army, they're in deep, 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 deep trouble. I mean, I don't know what in the world I was thinking. Well, I know what I was thinking about, bringing the 38th Infantry Division over here to try to help out the poor guys in Czernowitz. The problem is now the Russians, I mean, it was a stupid move in the sense, because it was like, Russians were just like, well, options galore here. Now we'll just cut off your line of supply, so you'll counterattack unsupplied, and we'll get to surround you in no time. I mean, the river's helping out in a bit, that, the zone of control and all that, but still, give me a break. We'll see what happens. Maybe it'll take longer for, Czernowitz to fall than I expect, but yeah, and yet again with over here with Third Army stuff, I'll have to go and read it. Yeah, I don't want to get into it too much, because I want to look back on my book and be able to, that, like I said with the journal. So that's been really 2 things that I've really been enjoying keeping, is the journals, and then looking back, and obviously this video journal as well. It's going to help me out. Like I said, it's been great. I just been, my poor neighbors, oh my God. That's a side story. Anyways, one thing I've been doing is using these indoor-outdoor speakers throughout the house. So I'm like, sometimes when I don't want to have my headphones on. But I keep really crazy, weird hours. So sometimes like 1:30 in the morning, I'm like painting my little cubes, or, I'm doing a game turn down here. And I want to listen again to what previous turns and whatnot, so I'll put on my YouTube channel and whatever, besides, playthroughs from other people and whatnot. And so I probably have it really loud. And anyways, the neighbors were like, we can hear some kind of weird mumbling at like really early in the morning. Can you like cut it out? And I'm like, oh my God. So anyways, they're really nice neighbors, but it was just like, oh no. So anyways, it was a decadent thing for me, and that's the way it goes. But yep, so the journals have been an awesome thing, and so is this video journal. And it's, like I said, this is all just a massive preparation to do the grand campaign. And I'm going to go mental on this, because this game is just hitting every, I don't know what, it's crossing every T and dotting every I in my pleasure center. How's that? So, yep. Okay, that was a long one. Holy smokes.